So there's this massive claim just blowing up in the AI world. The idea that a new model, way more powerful than anything we've seen before, is just out there. And it's supposedly completely free. What is going on? Let's dig in and figure it out.
Right. That's the hook you've probably seen. It's a bold promise, a model that's supposed to blow everything else out of the water. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what those claims are, take a look under the hood at the tech, and see how it actually performed in some real-world tests. Is this the real deal?
Okay, so where is all this coming from? Well, it all goes back to an AI workspace called GenSpark. They made a pretty big announcement about a new feature they're calling their super agent.
And here's the heart of it. The claim is that GenSpark is offering totally free access to a model they've named GPT-5 Pro. They're saying it's this huge leap forward. But the big question for all of us is, just how big of a leap are we actually talking about here?
Well, get this. According to GenSpark's own internal numbers, this new model shows a 79% improvement in user satisfaction over what they were using before, which they call GPT 4.1. I mean, a 79% jump? That's not a small update. That's a massive, massive claim.
And when you see it on a chart like this, it really hits home. A nearly 80% jump isn't just about getting slightly better answers. It suggests a completely different kind of user experience, one that's way less frustrating and way more useful.
But here's the thing. It's not just about getting more good responses. They also claim it serves up 34% fewer bad ones. So what does that really mean? It means the model isn't just getting smarter, it's getting a whole lot more reliable too.
Okay, so how in the world is it pulling this off? Well, the secret sauce seems to be two really clever architectural ideas that fundamentally change how the model approaches and solves problems. First up is this concept of a unified system. Now, instead of having one giant model trying to do everything, this system is smart about it. You ask it something simple, it uses a light, quick model. But if you throw a really complex problem at it, bam, it switches into what they call full thinking mode and brings out the big guns. And this is where you can really see the difference. The old way is kind of one size fits all, right? Which can be super inefficient. This new unified approach is all about using the right tool for the right job. It saves energy on the easy stuff so it can unleash its full power when it really, really matters. The second piece of the puzzle is something they call parallel test time compute. Now, it sounds super technical, but the idea is actually pretty brilliant. Instead of just thinking down one path to get you an answer, the AI explores a whole bunch of different ways to solve the problem, all at the same time. Think of it like this. First, it comes up with several different strategies or reasoning paths. Then, it basically has them race against each other, testing them all out in parallel. And finally, it picks the winner, the absolute best solution, and gives that to you. This is supposedly why it's so much better at those tricky multi-step problems. All right, so that all sounds great on paper, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, the creators put it through its paces with a few demos, starting simple and getting way, way more complex. First up, a pretty standard everyday task, writing an intro and an outline for a blog post. The topic was AI and education. This is kind of like a baseline test, just to see how good the writing quality is. And the results? A total home run. It churned out a really well-structured piece that genuinely sounded like a person wrote it. The big takeaway here is the quality. There's no weird AI speak, no robotic tone, just good, clean content right from the get-go. Okay, for the next test, they decided to really turn up the heat. They asked the model to code a mini Minecraft clone, completely from scratch, just using JavaScript. And the prompt was specific. It asked for all the core stuff: player movement, the ability to break and place blocks, and a simple UI. Now, this is the kind of test that a lot of older models would just fall apart on, or at least give you code that needed a ton of debugging. And this is where things get seriously impressive. The output was a completely working game that ran perfectly the very first time. No bugs, no errors. If you've ever tried to get an AI to write code, you know just how insane that is. And for the final boss level test, they gave it a super complex, strategic task. Plan out an entire MVP roadmap for a startup. We're talking features, design mockups, the whole shebang. The result was this incredibly detailed plan. Phases, timelines, feature lists, even the HTML code for wireframes of the app. And the claim is it did all of this in just a few minutes, a task that would take a human hours to do. It's a perfect example of that parallel reasoning we were talking about in action.
All right, so you're probably thinking, I want to try this. But how do you actually get the best results? Because it's not just about having a powerful tool, it's about knowing how to use it. So let's cover some key tips, and just as importantly, the limitations. It really all comes down to how you talk to it. You have to be super specific. Literally tell it to think hard or explain your reasoning to try and trigger that deeper thinking mode. Break down your big tasks into smaller steps, ask it to check its own work, and yeah, you're still gonna have to tweak and refine your prompts.
Now, we gotta be real here, it's not perfect. That full thinking mode can be a bit slower. It can absolutely still hallucinate and just make stuff up, so you've gotta check its work. Also, this free access thing, it might not last forever. And for any serious coding, please treat its output like a first draft, not the final product.
So when you put all of this together, what's the actual impact? What does this mean for you, for real people trying to get work done?
Well, for developers, it's all about speed. You can prototype an app in minutes instead of days. For content creators, it's like having a strategic partner that can map out entire campaigns. And for entrepreneurs, it's an incredible way to validate an idea and build a minimum viable product without needing a massive team from day one.
The claims here are definitely bold. And you have to admit, the demos are really impressive. They suggest we're looking at a pretty big step forward in AI reasoning. So I guess the final question we're left with is this. Is this the next big generational leap in AI? Or is it an incredibly powerful new kind of tool that we're all just starting to figure out how to use?